sorry to hear you.
Is that a house tone thing? That's what you're trying to find out. Oh. What's the insight saying about that woman's life in Tennessee?
I don't know. She's just she's an idiot.
Right.
She talks like a baby. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Do you like something like Jordan Price? You know, Katie Price, sorry, Jordan.
Yeah, they never let up on this program. It's the meanest show I've ever heard in my life.
Well, 15 minutes of fame comes with the price, right?
So she's like a fashion model or something, yeah?
Not even that. No. I wouldn't say that.
What, she poses with puppies or something?
No. She has no career at all. She like she exploits rich men.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they just mock her on the show every once in a while, and they call her Miss Howard Stern, but it's not like it's. I mean, Howard's married to somebody else. I mean, it's not like she doesn't have a relationship with him.
Is he married again?
Yeah, he married Beth Ostrowski. It might as well have been a what do you call it, a Barbie doll. She has no personality whatsoever. God, this ungrateful prick of a kid continues to call me. I helped him over and over again to build his computer, and he throws away all my work, and then he wants me to do it some more.
Oh, that's nice.
I mean, even like he called me during the program, but he knows I'm on the air. I'm not doing it anymore. I mean, I just had to hit decline. Okay, say hello to your public.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to American Freeman on the Freeman Radio Network. I am one of your ever-growing member of hosts. I am Don of the family Perry. Glad to have you all with us. Thank you very much. With me, as always, is the president of the American chapter of the World Freeman Society, Estrakios Constantinos, the Henry Moranti. Did I say it right today?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Good, yeah. Woohoo! Yay!
Yeah, the more I just say my name in public, the more of a target for abuse I am. It's great.
Well, you know, we're
I have to, though.
That's why our two British voices have decided to continue going by the name Maggot. Hi, Maggot.
So much smarter than we are, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
They've got it
I used to
figured
call
out.
each Estrakios Neddy. Even off air, I still call him Neddy. I just can't be going, Estrakios.
But perhaps now you're wondering, is my name really Don?
No, that's the title. But yeah, I know, it's short for Donald and Ronald.
No, I kind of wish my title were Don. That might actually get me some more death notes in my life. So
yeah.
That's always been.
Well, I had an uncle called Don, and he insisted that his name was just Don. Don.
We're just maniacally stupid and crazy in America. You know what I mean? That's a virtue. Here, crazy is a virtue in America. I love crazy.
It has to be.
It's wonderful. We were just talking about Andrea, you know, Miss Howard Stern, and she's crazy, and that see what a virtue that is?
Well, right, see, exactly. Craziness is an absolute virtue here.
I mean, we're really crazy. They underestimate in Europe how crazy we are. And in Canada, too. They don't get it. We're nuts.
Yep.
Did you ever see Independence Day when that Randy Quaid flies right up the ass of the mothership of the space thing? That's crazy.
Boys, I'm back!
That saves the world, you know what I mean?
Right, because only in America could thrusting your fighter jet up the tailpipe of a spaceship.
Right. I mean, that's just nuts, but God, that's great. It saves the whole world.
Woohoo! So, anal rape of aliens is going to save the world.
It's a spaceship.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anal rape of the spaceship.
Yeah.
Will save the world. Okay, that's fine. Good. Glad to hear it.
Whatever it takes.
We're willing to do it. Leave it to America. Yay! So, it was really, really interesting looking over and listening back to parts and elements of the show and finding out what music you actually put in on some of the things. That was nice.
Does it sound good or what? It sounds better than we do. Yeah.
Hey, well, you know, something's got to do,
Well, it
right?
should do, shouldn't it? It'd be horrible if we sounded better than professional musicians.
Working on it.
That.
Well, yeah. A 3-hour improv show sounds better than the entire Beatles back catalogue. Shock horror.
It's a lot to compete with, though, you know. They're really good.
Okay.
I'm sorry we're not beating John Lennon. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, well, I think it might be a little too early to come out and say that we're bigger than the Beatles.
Yeah. They were
I had
bigger
an
than
interesting
Jesus.
bit of psy-up on the TV. It was on some random comedy show, and it's like this versus competition. They have verses, and it was like, who'd win, Henry Mills or the Beatles?
Beatles.
Yeah, it was like, who is Henry Mills? I looked him up and I couldn't find him.
No, I know who Haley Mills was. Wasn't she?
Could have been Haley Mills, but I think it was Henry Mills.
There is a Henry Mills. I forgot who he is.
Yeah, I did look him up briefly. Okay. I think it's because he isn't even actually a singer. Like they wanted to make him a singer and just say they could like put him in a versus competition.
Now here's the question: who's more arrogant, the Gallagher brothers from the band Oasis, or Paul McCartney?
Man, that's a toss-up. I don't know.
That's a tough one, right?
Well, I thought you were just going to say the Beatles generally, but Paul McCartney by himself, yeah, well, that is something.
You know, that's...
Well, Paul McCartney is the wizened old has-been.
Yeah.
Well, he's not even the original Paul McCartney, is he?
I don't think he is.
I think
He might be.
I think he might be
Maybe
one of
he
these
did.
shape-shifting reptilians.
Well, he has a different head. If you get Photoshop out, you can see this. Yeah. But,
They had a Paul McCartney lookalike contest, and the winner, who obviously played the role of Paul McCartney, but apparently he's on stage with them as well, and he performed as Paul McCartney, so they could have just kept along with him.
well, I don't think so because of these weird clues everybody talks. I mean, just because of the Photoshop thing. Try it with. I mean, you know, try it. You'll see it's bizarre. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't get another head.
Yeah.
All he
John
needs is the little magic box that changes his voice into Paul McCartney's voice, and away you go.
Well, you know, Linda McCartney never was allowed to actually sing live. They put a microphone in front of her, but she never turned it on because, well...
I saw her live, and the only joke in the audience was that she wasn't plugged in.
I think it's a competition between your proposed Supreme Court judge, that lady, I won't mention. Oh yes, right. All right then, Kagan, and Paul McCartney's missus is who wins the world ugly contest.
You mean Sotomayor or that new one? Sotomayor is the single worst in every category. I mean, she is really offensive.
Yeah, but at least with a bag over her head, she'd be alright. Kagan, you'd still have to realize that there's something underneath the bag.
Oh, no. It's not just her. I mean, Sotomayor, her looks aren't the problem. It's her offensive views. I mean, she hates America.
Well, apparently so does Kagan, so...
Okay, well, that's just going to get appointed.
That's why she's been appointed, because she hates America.
Right.
Well, of course.
Part
Trying
of
to turn us into the socialist states of America.
Sotomayor's going to turn us into Aztlan.
Yay.
That's the sacred state of not Israel, Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be two entities. There's going to be the world government and Aztlan.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, because, you know, they're going to fulfill their bargains.
Just because Aslan sounds like Aslan out of the Narnia Chronicles. And that was all like really blatant if you read all the way through what that was about.
It's creepy.
Aslan the talking lion, and he's his second coming and all that sort of thing. And
but
he's down with children and all that sort of stuff.
Aslan is Turkish, it means lion.
Okay.
They're giving them a Turkish state? Why would the Mexicans want a Turkish state?
No idea. Of course, why did the Israelis, why are there so many Jews that want a Turkish state?
I don't know. I don't understand. I just want Turks out. I hate Turks.
Because even in the books, in the last battle, they say, there's Aslan will appear again in under names, but that won't be the real one, and you won't be able to know until you see the real one. So that's why it's kind of funny for me as well. It's like hearing Aslan, it always sounds like Aslan. See,
it's not wrong to be anti-Turkish.
Yeah.
It's only correct to be anti-Turkish.
It's politically correct to be anti-Turkish.
It's not just politically; it's just correct morally and generally. You know, I mean, there's no defending Turks. They're just
decent.
wrong.
It's decent. What do you say?
Yeah.
Decent, standard.
Do you ever see that show in Europe? It's from Seattle, but this guy is on a bicycle. He bicycles through European cities, and everywhere he goes, he finds another monument where the Turks have destroyed the city, but he doesn't see a theme here. He never manages to notice the theme, but man, the Turks destroyed everything everywhere. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, and in War of the Worlds, the version with David Essex, the Martians sound like turkeys. Like a gobble, 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 gobble.
That's good.
Now everything makes total sense. We have to stop the turkeys from being able to take over the world.
Right.
Martian turkeys.
Well, and plus the Khazarian Turks are the today's Jews, but the Ottoman Turks, the Seljuk Turks, they're no good Turks.
Really? No good Turks?
No good turkey meat.
Of course they're a good Turks.
Where?
Well, they're 6 foot under with a little sort of...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they're dead Turks.
That's like what do you have when you have 6,000 lawyers at the bottom of Boston Harbor?
Well, you know, if you laid if you laid all the lawyers in the world around the equator, we'd all be better off.
Well, 6,000 Turks at the bottom of Boston Harbor is a good start.
If you had all the lawyers laid end to end, we'd have the biggest daisy chain ever.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a concept to play with.
Way high out in the atmosphere.
Yes.
Vlad the Impaler spent his whole life fighting either Turks or Christians. It's like he couldn't decide which was worse.
Wow.
Yeah,
well,
either join the Turks to fight Christians or join the Christians to fight Turks. It's like, which one's worse? I can't decide.
He stuck everybody on the end of sticks.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Thousands and thousands. And I think he had like happy dinner meetings, and like they'd all be at the banquet table, and one of them would say something they didn't like, so go poof! On a spike. Head on a spike. Yeah, Vlad Tepes, supposedly the origination of Dracula, but he's more of an archetype.
It makes for a very, very polite dinner conversation.
Yeah, married to
It certainly encourages it, no kidding.
Well, yeah, he's supposed to be like a terrible ruler, but that also means like really powerful, so it's difficult to tell. I don't think he was hated by the people. Bathory was supposedly hated. He married her at one point, which is like the Batal Hillary. Yeah, bats in the attic and all that. And she ended up died and locked in a tower because she just went out of control. She was the woman that supposedly bathed in her servant's blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bathory, but did they break her in?
My wife in a tower.
Yeah,
I mean,
her first name's Elizabeth, which is like basically Hungarian or whatever for Elizabeth, same origination. She was around the same time, I think, as well.
Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Lizard. Remember, it's lizard in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
Elizabeth.
Yeah. And Beth is means little, put on the H. Beth is like little in Celtic. Liza, yeah, obviously, as you're saying, Liza, like Liza Minnelli, but also lizard. And then E in front means sort of electronic in modern language. You stick an E in front of something, it means like an electronic version, like email or egram, e-migraine.
Once again, welcome into the discussion of the Americans and our perversion of everything. All we had to do is put an E or an I in front of something, and it suddenly becomes cool.
Or A, it becomes the opposite.
Or what?
A.
Yep.
Like abiotic oil.
Speaking of oil, came across this, found this yesterday, didn't have a chance to bring it up. Congress gets ready to quadruple tax on oil. Responding to the massive BP oil spill, which we all know is engineered, Congress is getting ready to quadruple to 32 cents a barrel a tax on oil used to help finance cleanup. So not only have the oil companies now dumped tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of barrels of oil into the water, killing off wildlife and threatening our coastlines and everything else, but now we get to spend more of our money to help finance cleaning it up. How American can you get? And I mean, this isn't even on obscure news channels. This is all over the place. They're actually talking about how great it is that they're going to be able to pass this tax to fund the cleanup effort, instead of saying, BP, you fucked up, do something right.
Well, when they've completed these different taxes, including the new value-added tax going to be sneaked onto companies and others so you don't see it up front,
right?
And what have you, Americans, it looks like, are heading for 75% of their income paid in taxes. Ouch, that hurts. You know, if you take your income tax, your sales tax, this sneaky little VAT, your carbon tax, your land tax, your state taxes,
tax, state tax, local taxes.
Yeah, you're talking 70. Wow, that hurts.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You've made my day. Well, and it would be okay if, like, say we lived in a place like Switzerland where they pay 70-some-odd% of their income in taxes, but you can flick a cigarette into the street because the street cleaner is going to come by and pick it up, and you get totally free education and totally free health care and all that fun stuff. That would be fine. Okay, great. So my money's actually going to do something.
It's not fine. Ask them over there. They don't like it. They don't get anything back. Not really. Pay and pay and pay and pay and pay. Socialism never works no matter what it is. There's no good socialism.
It's the same as the court system, gentlemen. Good
grief.
You know, a man robs your house, the cops come along, find his fingerprints, pick him up. You're paying for the cops, you're paying for him to take the fingerprints, you're paying for him to chase him, you're paying for him to hoik him off to jail, you're paying for him to stand before a judge, you're paying for the judge, you're paying for the court, you're paying for this, you're paying for that, you're paying for everything. Then if they stick him inside, you're paying for that as well. And or if it's a first offence and they go, oh, just this big fine, they take the big fine, and what do you get back? You've paid for everything. What do you get back? Zero. And they call that justice.
And see, that's the big liberal position, is to think, oh, well, it must be okay in some... No, it's not. Not in any circumstances. There's no good comes from it. It's just evil. Oh, well, it might be okay. No, it's not. How about anal rape? I mean, so big guys that come fuck you in the ass, is there a good part to it?
Only if it's being done to aliens.
Okay, well, they're coming to your house. Is that good?
I think he means done by aliens.
Yeah.
As long as it's aliens. Yeah, come in aliens. Yeah, I will juice myself up.
They're just always... They've gotten everybody to think, well, there's some good part to... No. Because people think there must be a moderate position to everything. There's not a moderate position.
Sure, of course not. Can't be. But if you'd let me finish what I was saying, I was trying to get to a point, but that's okay.
No!
What I was...
Okay, don't let you do that. We won't
right, of course. Why? Why would that happen on this show? Woohoo!
Any of these systems are complete anathema to being free men.
Well, of course, I totally agree with that. That wasn't part of my discussion. It wasn't what I was trying to say, but that's okay.
Okay. I stand corrected.
Well, no, because I haven't said anything yet to back up what I just said. So you can stand anywhere you want, I guess. My only point being is that if you're going to get raped out of your hard-earned labor, if they're going to rape you of it, and then go ahead and prosecute you for criminal acts for the very thing that the raping of you was supposed to provide for you, how much more American can you get from that? You know, take 75% of our labor in taxes and
no, it's not the American system.
Well,
it's not the American system.
The current operation of the incorporated states. How about that? How much more incorporated American?
Yeah, well, you see, as far as I can see, the American system has been corrupted incrementally ever since the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and these other things were penned to the documents.
So the instant of its creation, it started collapsing.
And the cusp, and the actual turnover, the cusp point where it actually took a big nosedive, was in 1913, and you just can't argue with that.
Sure.
It's so in your face obvious that 1913 these criminals took over. Simple.
We need some beatings in this country. We need to do a lot of beatings, and we'll fix these problems.
Instead of public town hall meetings, let's have town hall beatings.
Yeah.
If your name has anything attached to it that says senator, congressman, lobbyist, anything politically affiliated, I'm down with that. Should we use wooden bats?
Fix this.
Bats? I mean,
I don't know. Whatever people want. Just.
Ooh, let's bring back stoning.
Oh God, Maggot sent me this ugly picture. I just finally saw it. That's frightening. Who is that? The one just before Bathory. That was really scary.
Oh, that's some politician.
I think,
and even Bathory seems attractive compared to her.
Yeah. I think this comparison between the portraits of Bathory and Elizabeth I, and also it's kind of interesting, the birth date and death date. There's 3 years difference between the two. You know, she hadn't finished being a bitch as Elizabeth I, then she carried on as Countess Bathory. Carry on, Karen.
Yeah, I think we should take a more traditional approach. We should sit them on their swords. You know, put the sword into the earth upside down and just sit them down. There you go, boy.
I'm totally fine with that.
I shall fall on my sword. No, I won't. Ah!
I totally support that.
They can take their seat over there, young man.
Right. Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, pretend that you are an idiot. Now pretend that you are a member of Congress.
But that's what they do. These people pretend they're members of Congress. They're not real members of Congress. They just pretend to be. Because they're just the puppets. The real members of Congress is the people you don't see.
Well, sure, of course. I mean, what? Wait, that couldn't happen. We're all enlightened individuals in a new world order. There is no kind of conspiracy. Are you guys criminals? Why is that only funny to me?
Second pick, Queen Elizabeth I.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was posting earlier. Yeah, I just think it's quite interesting the way that Bathory and Elizabeth I look like similar. Very, very similar. And also, Elizabeth I, I think, from memory now, died in 1611, and Bathory was born in 1614. So it's like maybe the bloodline carried on from the Bathory family. Because, like, you know, in her lifetime, she wasn't enough of a bitch, so she reincarnated as Bathory. The stories.
I don't know. She had several illegitimate children.
She still died at the age of... Yeah, she died, it says 1533 to 1603. Oh, actually, yeah, it's not that so far away. So that's, 70 years. She lived 70 years.
And that was the lady that let the Roman Church back into Britain.
Actually, no, their lives overlapped pretty much. I must have got the century wrong, haven't I? Never mind. A bit of cold.
And also our Jewish friends.
Yeah,
I have no Jewish friends! It's like Lawrence Arabia.
When Bathory was born. Who knows, she might have like been two places. Taking the tube or something. You know, she fancied beating up some servants or something.
Is that why it's called Battersea?
Oh, from Bathory, could be Bathory. Yeah, because the H is silent most of the time. Bathory. Yeah, so Battersea.
Yeah. And that was electrical as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Electric battery, yeah. Battery chair. And fish and chips, they're battered.
Battered?
Yeah, I mean, all the fish is always battered.
Like battered men. Did you ever see that they had battered women on I think it was Kids in the Hall, and she was all covered in batter?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's what battered food means. They just cover it in batter and put it in the boiling oil.
Yeah, wrapped in a mixture of flour, egg, and water, dipped in hot oil. Nothing can be healthier for you than that.
Yeah, they do it with Mars bars as well over here. Take a Mars bar and dip it in that.
Really? That sounds really good.
They do it with Twinkies and Snickers bars here in the States. Which is something I have yet to try. I'm kind of
Twinkies aren't that good. I don't like Twinkies.
Twinkies by themselves, I don't mind. I'm just frightened of having one deep fried.
They have this whole bit in Arrested Development about putting the hose in the microwave with the foil on it. I don't know what they were doing. They kept putting it in the microwave. I mean, even what's his name, Henry Winkler did it. It's like, how dangerous is that?
Yeah, no kidding. Not to mention the fact that you just put foil into the microwave.
Yeah.
Fun. Maggot, I found something that I think might interest you. Being where you are, that you are. Rothschild engineer fire sale of UK infrastructure to offshore corporations. The elitist banking dynasty pushes for toll roads that privatize the UK's road network and enrich coffers of the same banking elite who have wrecked global economies. The Rothschild banking family is pushing for the privatization of the UK's motorway network that would force Brits who already pay road tax to enrich the coffers of private corporations intimately tied with the Rothschilds by means of road tolls and pay-by-mile schemes enforced with spy cameras. Have you considered expatriating out of the UK?
Yeah, I don't drive, so I'm not too concerned, but yeah, it sounds a bit ridiculous.
Don't worry, next they're going to do a walk-by-mile, too. They're going to charge you for your oxygen use, because every time you take a breath in on the public roadways, you're expelling carbon dioxide, which that's the tax, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they didn't hear the Queen's speech the other day. I mean, some of it sounded okay. Did you hear her endorse Agenda 21 over and over and over again? Did anybody watch that?
No,
I did not.
We got a link for the speech. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I gave it to you yesterday.
Did you?
I'll post it here again. But yeah, it sounded like just like they were describing, except nobody seemed to notice that she endorsed Agenda 21 over and over again during the speech.
And what's Agenda 21?
You know, the whole bit about carbon taxes and all that.
Okay.
Agenda 21 was passed in 91 by Bush Sr., who all that lip service to not doing stuff the libs want, and he's the one that signed it.
And Agenda 21 refers to the agenda that was developed in the first climate conference out of Brazil.
Yeah, Rio.
Yeah, and it referred to the 21st century and where we were going.
Yeah.
See, nobody had that much printer paper back then, and
Right.
you wouldn't believe how long that thing is. People a decade to read it.
Shorter than the Patriot Act, then?
No, the Patriot Act's pretty short. This thing really goes on for miles. I mean, this Gen 21's unbelievable. Air conditioners, they're not sustainable. We can't have them.
Air conditioners are not sustainable. We don't have them.
Freezers, no.
I don't have an air conditioner in my house, so I guess I'm not really that worried.
Move from Michigan.
Yeah, sure. Of course, it's been 90 degrees the last couple of days.
Yeah, but it's never humid in Michigan. We used to go there for vacation. Up at Burt Lake. And man, it would get hot, and it would be just so pleasant, you couldn't believe it.
That's southern Michigan. Wait till you get up to northern Michigan, real northern Michigan.
Is it colder there?
Lake Superior generally doesn't get much below, or much above, say, about 68 degrees.
I don't know. I scanned like 20,000 pictures for my family. I actually catch fish in the pictures. It's amazing.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I gotta put some of those up on HoneyPack for you.
Good.
More pictures of me.
Because we know what that leads to.
I never had pictures of me before, and now I have like billions of them. Film scanners are cool. The flatbeds are alright.
I was kind of
The film
disappointed
scanners.
walking to my mother's house and finding that of all of the children that my mother and my stepfather have, well, there's multiple pictures of everyone else. There's only one picture of me, and I'm like 8 years old. That's great.
That's it?
Yeah, there's one picture of me in their whole house, and I'm 8 years old.
Dig for negatives.
Yeah.
People tend to throw away pictures or screw them up, and things like that. Negatives tend to make it.
Sure. Sure. Well, all of those things are probably lost when my father lost his house years and years and years ago.
On you?
Guaranteed the negatives aren't around anymore.
Excuse
So you talked a ton about promoting Agenda 21.
Well, you just have more pictures of me then. Man, there are pictures of me. You wouldn't believe it.
It's a science fiction story. It's very good. Doesn't realise he's already 10 years into it.
Did you guys see the thing out of Oxford Union the other day in which the individuals debating for and trying to push the globalist environmental agenda lost in an open public debate?
Lord Monckton wins global warming debate at Oxford Union.
There's none of these things to be won in debate.
Yeah, to be honest, I've been talking to loads of people all around the planet. Aussies, New Zealanders, people from Pakistan, and Middle East, everywhere. And I for the last few months, I have not heard a single voice to suggest that man-made global warming is actually accurate. Everybody's just completely jumped the other way now, and it's rubbish. It's just a tax scam, and everybody knows it. And
none of these things can be won in debate. Nothing. That's why they don't want a public debate on any of these topics. They can't win these things. They're wrong.
The genius child of David de Rothschild, wasn't it? That was his big thing, the 10% global tax. And he's such a dunce, it's like, well, what you could do with the money you raise from this tax? Oh, I don't know. I mean, it really is that dense. They don't actually know what they're going to do with any of the money they gain from the taxes. They're like, what they could do, chuck it all down in a lake or something. They're not using it for anything.
The taxes are for something. The tax has been taken from you.
Right.
I think
it has nothing to do with money. It's all about control.
I don't think it's about money. I think it's more about physical possessions, assets. They keep buying more and more and more of the planet. They own enormous tracts. And other resources. You know, how many businesses have they now got their fingers into? You know, these corporations. Do they own all the corporations?
Yeah, but you think from a naive standpoint that this assuming what they're saying is true, global warming is true. Then if there's a tax for global warming, then the money gained from that tax should go to combat global warming, shouldn't it?
No,
but
it's control.
That's
all it is. There's no suggestions going for anything like that.
They haven't even come with an excuse for it, though. Yeah, I know. That's how blatant it is.
You know what they really have to do with that money is they have to build the ability to go to Mars so that they can combat the global warming problem on Mars.
Guess who's sponsored this debate in the Oxford Union?
I'm going to say Halliburton.
Well, not quite. However, it was those pesky Americans again.
So I'm close.
The Science and Public Policy Institute, Washington, D.C.
Okay, so I'm sorry, that's not American. Washington, D.C. is District of Columbia.
Oh, yeah, it's a separate state, of course.
Yeah, they're not Americans, they're British. They don't know it, but they're British.
Yeah, they're the Crowns, the wholly owned subsidiary, of course, of the City of London.
Right, exactly. So they're really Londoners.
Oh, that's why we got the Oxford Union to debate it then. Oh, shit.
Oh, God. God forbid you have it at some free place like Columbia University. Oh, wait.
It's not free. What are you talking about?
But then we could, we should do it at a free university like Harvard. Oh, wait. Yeah, hold on.
That's a good Bible college.
Harvard?
That was started as a Bible college, right?
I believe so. They're really biblical right now. Just, the wrong text. So, but at least, if nothing else, there is that swing, like you've mentioned, Caribbean, about people are realizing that the whole carbon tax, the whole global warming, etc., debacle is just that. It's a debacle.
Well, I think it's a bigger matrix than that. Look at it is a bigger matrix than that. People, increasing numbers of people, more especially in outside the US, believe that 9/11 was not an Arab-inspired attack, but probably a Mossad MI6 CIA attack to provide them the excuse to go to war in Iraq and institute these draconian laws like the Patriot Act, the Military Commissions Act, and so forth and so on. Then the swine flu came through, and people began to understand that. Hang on a moment.
Somebody inoculate Maggot, would you?
How could Baxter Pharmaceuticals have a vaccine
all ready to go?
Almost a year before swine flu reared its ugly head, and then
far-thinking scientist. Yeah.
That wise. Yeah.
That's it.
And then when it didn't actually, the World Health Organization called it a pandemic when it wasn't even an epidemic, and
fewer
people began
died
to
from the swine flu than from the regular flu.
So that was like another little pinprick to this New World Order matrix, and once people started realizing that these things were going on, when we got to the man-made global warming scam, that people were already primed to almost dismiss it out of hand, and lots of people have dismissed it. But there's so much evidence to show that it's a completely false premise that man is responsible for this thing.
Now, how can we be? We produce less carbon into the atmosphere than, say, 2 volcanic explosions a year. Apparently, we've had more than that this year. So, should we be taxing volcanoes?
Possibly.
What?
Now we
can't change it.
Now we come to the situation in the Sea of Japan and the Yellow Sea, where supposedly this ancient North Korean noisy submarine managed to slap a torpedo into a South Korean corvette and sink it. Now, one has to be aware that there was a huge...
What are they doing with corvettes in the water, man?
Yeah, there was no kidding. I mean...
And the Yellow Sea, do they all pee in the same area?
So there was this huge fleet of the latest American technology called Aegis ships, and South Koreans had one as well, with all this anti-submarine detection equipment. But they failed to detect this ancient, noisy North Korean submarine and fired a torpedo, so-called fired a torpedo. Then we get to the position now where they've lifted that boat up and it doesn't look too badly damaged, but never mind. Then they've shown us these pieces of the torpedo. Unfortunately, there's a big serial number and a plate on the drive and the drive screws. So you look at that plate and it says "Made in Germany." and just where did North Korea, having been on full sanctions and virtual blockade for the past donkey's years, get hold of one of these modern submarine drive systems? You know? So it's got a bit, modern torpedo drives. And so then you start, well, hang on a moment, who bought these new torpedoes and new silent submarines, say? The German submarines with German torpedoes. Now, what nation has those? Well, just give me a minute.
Hold on. We'll sing the Jeopardy theme. We'll do the Jeopardy theme song here. Let our audience sing.
Well, of course, that would be our favourite nation, called Israel. These are the people.
It's a lie. It's a lie. Not Israel.
So now we come to the conclusion that has this illegitimate Zionist regime in the Middle East procured a nice little false flag attack to encourage America to have a nuclear war with North Korea. Ouch.
Bring. Hold on a second, everyone, okay? Hold on. Hello? Yeah. Sure. I'll tell him. Hold on. I've got a message for the American people. It's from the Gulf of Tonkin affair. They just called. The message is gotcha again.
No, absolutely. And you know, once you start stepping outside this matrix and you look at these things and don't listen to what they're telling you to think, but look what they're putting in front of you, like torpedoes with big German serial number plates on them, and you know, ouch. That's North Korean? No. That's German. Who bought them? Not North Korea.
I guess my big question is how come they have pieces of the torpedoes that have survived that they can put pictures up of, but not a single element of any of the planes that supposedly hit targets on 9/11 have any remnant. So a German torpedo is better built than an American plane?
Probably. And a German torpedo can evade, and so can a German-built submarine, evade America's best in submarine detection equipment.
Oh, sure, of course, definitely. Unless, we were all looking the other direction.
Unless they were told to ignore it, of course.
Ignore what? I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, this phantom blip on my sonar screen. That's not a rip.
What blip on your sonar screen? Nothing.
Yeah. No. Just it's for your own good. Just ignore it.
Maybe they're having another war game again.
Right, exactly.
Phony blips on the screen.
Yep. Well, and that's exactly how they pulled 9/11 off. And now that the U.S. is apparently engaging in war game practices with South Korea at a moment when heightened tensions have been created with North Korea, created, mind you. Does anyone want to start, a pool as to which day the next major offensive is going to occur that allows
you shouldn't bet on phony events that are prearranged. You know what I mean? When things it's like betting on last week's,
Well, right, but my guess is it going to happen before July? Is it going to happen after July 4th? Is it going to happen like
yeah, but they know in
Day?
advance. Yeah.
Well, they know, but we don't. In fact, they know who's going to win the presidential election. That doesn't keep people from voting.
How about it might start on the 6th of the 6th, 66.
Ooh.
All the sixes, clickety click.
Bam, bam, bam. Why not?
But anyway, the whole story is a load of hogwash.
Sure.
An absolute load of media-produced propaganda and psyop information just to convince the sheep that we're looking after you. We're now going to punish North Korea.
Have to again.
Yeah. They're guilty even if they don't do anything.
Right, especially if they don't do anything. Kim Jong-il was stepping down in his things. He was starting to actually seem like a decent guy. And all of a sudden, there's a major attack against South Korea by North Korea. Right. Is he smart enough to fool America? I think America's smart enough to fool all of us.
Interesting happenings, and so all these things now are coming together in this new slow but sure awakening of people of understanding that these things are planned, they are engineered, and it looks like they've got another financial collapse planned. Well, sure.
The markets tanked overnight all across Asia and Europe, and now it's affecting the U.S. and everything. It's all engineered.
Oh, life is full of fun, isn't it?
There's an ancient Japanese curse. It says, "May you live in interesting times."
That one.
Wow. And isn't it strange that the Sumerian tablets and all these different ancient scribblings seem to point to this sort of happening? Wonder what they knew that we don't know.
The tyranny will always raise its ugly head, and as soon as it does, it's going to engender a backlash that will ultimately rebuild the entire balance of the system. It makes you wonder just a little bit if the Sumerians knew that. Maybe they weren't suddenly like God-inspired or Mars-created or anything else. Maybe they were, none of this reptilian stuff, but maybe they were the remnants and leftovers of the last great civilization that destroyed and obliterated all the planet.
Well, the reptilian stuff's all made up anyway.
Hey, don't tell David I
know.
He's made millions off it.
He needs his reptilian friends. He needs them.
He needs people who like him.
I keep an open mind on everything.
I read his stuff. The one strange element that I will give the credence to his theory is that every civilization that has put up any documentary work of their thought processes all have only one real element in common, and that's that there's some kind of a massive lizard, dragon, or serpent type thing.
Wait a minute. I walk away for one freaking minute.
I know.
It's that damn Sitchin stuff again.
Yeah.
There are no halfway positions, okay? Everyone wants to compromise with Sitchin. The man did bad scholarship, bad translation.
I'm not compromising.
It is. It's Sitchin. It's fucking Sitchin again.
It's worth questioning. I'm not saying
the man did bad translation. There's good translation. It doesn't say that. The man just made stuff up.
He made up whole phrases.
Yeah.
Really?
This is embarrassing, yeah.
Stitchingiswrong.com. It explains it all. I have the entire Ancient of Days conference for years.
Can you just repeat that at a lower volume?
Okay. Stitchingiswrong.com.
Wow. Iswrong.com.
SITCHEN is wrong.
No, Sitchin, Sicarius Sitchin has been used as scientific evidence to back up David Icke's claims. That's the point that he's making.
The guy's always wrong. I don't know why.
Yeah, and Sicarius Sitchin. I am the only person on the planet who can read the Sumerian reading.
People think maybe he doesn't even know the languages he's talking about.
Yeah,
that's how far wrong he is.
Noah's Ark was originally a 40-foot submarine. That's what I'm saying.
But like
made out of iron.
Not everything that comes out of that man's mouth is gold.
He said it's made out of iron as well. They haven't found any iron fragments. It's made out of wood, but yeah, it was just sort of like update the old science fiction with new science fiction, really.
And they managed to get enough food for every single animal and what have you on the planet.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they'd have been buried in shit after 2 days.
Yeah, well, Sitchin would say, although it's supposedly only 40 cubits long, Sumerian cubits are more like a mile, so it's really 40 miles.
Right, because, one person can build a ship out of wood in a lifetime that's 40 miles long.
Not out of wood, it's iron. It's made out of iron as well, apparently. It was a submarine. Yeah, I sort of think like, if you're on the right drugs, it might sound convincing. But it's all just down to this one guy's words, and he's the only person who says he's the only person who can read it. It's like the old priest trick. I'll tell you what.
But lots of people have checked it. It says
We have a technical problem, listeners. He has a funny Greek-sounding name. That's our technical problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for bearing with us. We will edit this out in our archive system, hopefully, including our apology.
Well, we'll edit out the apology.
We'll leave it in just so people suddenly wonder what the heck happened that we don't know about. We need to listen to the show live.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
So, Lenny, are you back with us? I'll take it as a no. Considering he's running our show, hopefully we're still running here. But I guess I didn't realize that there was that much that was taken out of context. I try to do as much research on everything as I can.
Yeah, but...
Can you give me that website once again? Because I actually want to look it up right now.
I've got a link to it. But the thing is, people make I said their logic's wrong a lot of the time. People's logic's wrong. There's like, they go to the biggest, oldest document, and it must be true because it's so big and old. But it was written and compiled by priests. It's just a bunch of stories. Just because it's old doesn't make it true. It doesn't make it any more like to be any true than something that was written like 10 minutes ago. It's a story. If they say like the world was ruled by 12 dragons and they each had 18 heads and they gave birth to 40 porcupines, but that's like the original story of that was like originally written. It doesn't
Dragons
scientifically.
Porcupines. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's painful. doesn't scientifically make it a valid theory or any more valid than anything else just because it's the first story that was written. You know, the first story that was written maybe about the stars, that they were like, I don't know, pear seeds that floated up because a wind god farted or something like that. But because that's the first story about the origin of the stars doesn't mean it's any more likely than any other story, you know.
Well, sure, no. I understand.
It's just part of our wealth of fictional literature, like the Bible.
Yeah. The word venerable, isn't it? Because it means old, and people confuse things that are old with things that are wise and must be true, sort of things. Like, oh, there's an old story. This is like a real cliche in stories and in computer games as well. You know, there's an old story about a man who walked for 40 days and he found the magical land of and you know, they always rip you off with that in fiction and stuff. And it's like, you know, then these adventurers would go on a walk for 40 days and they'd find the magical land of where it was, you know, like the City of Gold.
Well, sure.
So
now the Bible's wrong too? When did that happen?
I believe there's a City of Gold. It's called El Dorado.
Wait a minute.
Right. And you
It's
can
genuine.
ride all day to find the land of El Dorado.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. That's just generic name given to various cities, but they had that myth spread by the Spanish, and that was like the origin of a lot of the Spanish conquests, and they were always looking for these cities of gold. I think cities of gold just meant cities that had gold in them, you know, rich cities for looting and robbing, pillaging. But yeah, there were loads. Yeah.
Actually, it goes. It's even more insidious than that. When the Spanish and the Portuguese and everything were moving into Central America and South America and starting to kill off tribes and stuff, what they were looking for was gold. And so the people in these tribes actually, to spare the lives of the people in that tribe, in that village, in that city, in that whatever, created the myth of a city of gold and sent them off into the jungles to go and find the city of gold to try and get rid of them. Unfortunately, the myth worked against them because it translated backwards and became the impetus for more settlers, explorers, etc., to come over here instead of getting rid of the people that were trying to kill them.
Well, this was all a cunning plan of London, of course. So London didn't have to do any of the hard work. We got the Spanish to do that, and then as they sailed their galleons across with their gold, we just robbed them. Yeah. Oops.
So what you're saying, you had an invading army or whatever, and obviously you didn't want them there, you didn't like them, so you'd say, cities of gold, that away!
Well, exactly. You know, we have nothing you want. The city of gold, go that way.
Yeah, over that hill, we promise you, we have gold from there.
Yep, just keep following that way. That way. There was a great movie made sometime in the 80s, I can't remember the name of it right now off the top of my head, but it was about one of these explorers who went off searching for El Dorado, searching for a city of gold, and it was a German filmmaker who did it, and it's a really, really powerful movie, but you can see the obsession that
isn't that what Avatar was about? This little planet had this huge deposit of this very rare and expensive material. Unobtainium.
Am I the only person who's realised what that name is? Yeah. It doesn't even exist. It's not
I
real.
haven't seen the movie, so I can't comment on Avatar.
Oh yeah. And the people, the Avatar people, you see, they have this hive mind, this community. And they get this lock of hair from the back of their heads and plug it into a plant or into an animal, and they're there as one, you know, so that they have this other consciousness. Wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful.
Well, I have a huge problem with James Cameron anyway. I have a categorical dislike of watching any movie that he's involved with.
Oh, well, I mean, he keeps making movies like that. Perhaps he should be charged with treason and hung as a suitable punishment.
Definitely. Well, so I've got to see if I can find. I was looking and reading something yesterday, a couple things yesterday that deal with ways that older societies have dealt with people being false, people being stupid, people working just for themselves, etc., etc. So, let me see if I can find them real quick, because it's some pretty funny stuff. Here we go. Forget about the concept of a town hall meeting to decide public policy. How about this instead? In ancient Greece, to prevent idiotic statesmen from passing idiotic laws upon the people, lawmakers, legend has it, were asked to introduce all new laws while standing on a platform with a rope around their neck. If the law passed, the rope was removed. If it failed, the platform was removed.
Hey, let's check the live stream. Are we still being recorded? Because is Lenny back yet?
I have no idea. I hope we're being recorded, but
I like that idea. I think we should do that with all congressmen, parliamentarians, presidents, and prime ministers.
Anytime
you're on.
Get up and speak.
You've been on. I had a USB meltdown, but you're on.
Okay, we were recording when you were gone as well, then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Good. Figured.
So I'm getting a 404 on the stream, but I must have got an old link or something.
Let me try it.
But I totally agree. Toss a rope around their neck every time they get up to speak. If they sound like an idiot, pull the platform out from underneath their feet. Sorry, you're done. Bye-bye. And this one. Pliny the Elder was a Roman writer who lived during the same time period as Jesus. He told a story of the setting of an obelisk, which, when erect, would stand 99 feet tall. 20,000 workers were chosen to pull on the ropes and activate the hoisting apparatus. There was great responsibility and risk in the operation. Just one error could cause the obelisk to fall, ruining years of work. The king demanded one act which ensured the complete attention and best direction of the engineer. He ordered the engineer's own son to be strapped to the apex of the obelisk, so that the engineer's heart, as well as his head, would be given to the task.
Yeah, on reflection, I think that the rope round the neck and the platform is a mistake.
Yeah?
I think we should put them on a rack, and every time we think they're talking nonsense, we just put one more notch on the rack. Just stretch them out a bit.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I'm all for that. That would definitely engender honesty.
I would think so, yeah. And if what they were telling was like being honest and truthful and proposing a solid piece of law or legislation, then you take one notch off.
Right, sure.
Every
Every time that you're a decent human being, we relieve the pressure. Every time you're a selfish, self-serving policy
son of a bitch
asshole, sucks to be you. Oh, that's brilliant. How many people would stop running for office if they knew they had to be put in that position? You certainly wouldn't get career politicians.
How many people would actually start making decent legislation and making sense instead of talking nonsense?
How many people would spend their 4 to 6 years in the Senate laying there and going, I've got nothing to talk about today. I just would like my breakfast, lunch, and dinner and a chance to use that.
All you can be sure of having been through this process, we'd have some very tall congressmen and parliamentarians.
Well, but you would always know who was lying to you because they would be like 7'3", and would have hands that hung down past their kneecaps. It'd be a great way. It's like that grand old Irish proverb that states, "Lord, for those who love me, let them love me, and those who hate me, turn their ankles, so that I may know them by their limbs."
I'm still on connected to the stream. I don't know. As long as it's recording, it doesn't really matter if it's going out live.
It's going on.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sure we're fine. If we're not fine, we'll still be fine later.
I can't stress enough that first wave Greek thought sucks crap, okay? It's third wave. You don't want to pass 1,000,000 laws, okay?
Well, sure, of course not.
So does it, all this crap that you've been talking about, you understand, the USB thing goes down, and you guys start talking about things, I start freaking out, because then the microphone dies.
He was talking about leeching lizards in Golgotha or something.
You're going to pass more laws, and they start stretching necks. What the hell are you talking about? I just start
whoa, Lenny, you're going to have an aneurysm. Chill out, calm down.
If we were stretching legs, we would never get any of these laws, would we?
It even states, legend has it. I didn't say it was absolute truth. It was merely put forth as an idea and a thought process in... Well, not all of us are fortunate enough to belong to the family Moretti, so you're going to have to cut us a little slack. 10 deep breaths, count to 100, you'll be okay. I worry about him sometimes. Every time I open my mouth and start talking, I worry that he's going to suddenly pop a blood vessel in it.
You're a free man, you're allowed to say anything.
Oh, no. I'm allowed to say anything I want. I just worry that sometimes what I say is going to cause him to pop a blood vessel. So,
are we still on USB meltdown?
It's still being recorded, but we're just not going out live.
Oh, that's a shame.
We're going out live.
We are? Okay.
Of course we are.
I was stuck on connecting to host, I don't know why though. Oh well. I'm on the side of the log pretty much.
Just a curiosity, what's that halo behind your avatar's head? Lenny.
That's Archangel Michael. That's whatever struck is me. I'll give you the full picture here.
Oh, alright. I just wondered what the halo was there. Archangel Michael. Is there such a thing?
Yeah. All you participants in Christianized.
Here's something for everyone. Anyone who ever has to fly in and out of or around the United States. This will excite you. TSA, the Transportation Security Administration, keeps watch lists of peeved travelers. Some people say the first mistake was to create the TSA. It doesn't really stop terrorism, makes flying an even more unpleasant experience, and it has created a bureaucracy that will live on far past the initial threat. We made a fundamental mistake allowing the TSA to unionize. That makes about as much sense as unionizing the military. For example, we now come to find out that the TSA is keeping a mini watch list of its own. It's not a watch list of potential terrorists. It's a watch list of peeved travelers who since 2007 have scared TSA workers by showing anger.
So they're do.
I have never shown a TSA agent any anger whatsoever. Ridicule, yes.
Well, I'm sorry. Then you qualify.
I qualify. Oh, right. Okay. So I'm a qualified. I'm a qualified person.
Yep.
See my leg?
Oh yeah. Who's the girl behind you? Your sister.
My cousin.
Yeah. She's quite hot.
That only applies to my person being qualified. Me, myself, this human being, not qualified.
Oh yes. Okay, stop looking at the picture now.
Yeah, well, good luck getting that past the TSA agents. They're dumb enough to decide that what they really need to do is ensure that, anyone that upsets them, they have to put on a watch list because, of course, it makes the workplace uncomfortable.
The guy is
God forbid you look at them and say, why do you really need to search my pockets by hand? We're putting you on a watch list.
The guy that Michael's got his foot on, he's got a serpent round his leg, and he's black.
Does he have U.S. Congress written across his chest?
Black to me. He's kind of pale. He's not pale.
She's not black. She's just in shadow. He's reddish.
Ruddy brown.
Well, and that could even apply to me because, well, I'm Native American, and it could apply to Estracios because, well, he's Greek.
I knew that's where this was going. That's not where I was going with it.
Is that a picture of you on your mother and father's knee?
No, that's my grandparents.
Is that you on your grandparents' knee then?
Yes.
Oh, you're very small.
I got larger.
It's amazing that he can run a radio show when he's only that small.
Yeah. 3 foot tall. It's really great.
Quite impressive, really.
He has been online since, what, 1978?
Yes, 79.
79,
the computer in
okay.
78.
Gotcha. So, he's unfortunately, his stature hasn't increased at all. That picture was taken just on Mother's Day this year. If you look at his grandfather's watch, you can tell. It's nice, though, that your household in the next picture has decided to retain the 1970s as their mainstay. Is that your sister behind you?
No, it's my cousin.
That's your cousin. Okay. What's her name? Is she single?
Eleni. That was the 70s.
What are you guys eating there?
That's a large Easter bread. It has the key to the Easter bread is the mastica, the gum that's in there, and then there's the coin. They foil wrap a coin. You're supposed to get the coin. The bread is cut very specifically. Jesus gets the first piece, and the head of the house, and then I.S. Vasilis gets one, and then there's a long list. And then eventually I get my piece, and no matter what happens, I get the coin.
Every single time. How blessed are you, and how hated are you by the rest of your cousins?
Oh, I've pissed off the whole family and other people or whatever. I've walked in there, big giant bread, and then everyone just I pull one piece out and coin. I've seen 100 people walk away from the bread.
Is that a lighted tree in the background?
I believe that's the Adidas house. That's
oh, okay. I'm just wondering why you have the lighted tree.
No, Freeman has some odd decorations there. That's our Christmas light, but there's no reason for it.
Okay. Somebody just forgot the Christmas.
We need a slideshow to go along with the radio show, and then everyone can see all my pictures.
You see, now we get back into the whole conversation about doing this video style. We should do a video broadcast I've got to get the thing set so I can do Skype on my place, where we should all sit here and do live uploads to YouTube and Google Video.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, it would be so fun, though.
Yeah, right. We live in the 22nd century or something now. Is it 3 hours a day a show? Who's going to edit it? Who's got the time to edit it? You talk about one easily over a gig each. You would send each other a video.
all right.
Yeah, it'd be like four gigs.
The idea down.
Yeah. 4 gigs.
I was trying to transform internet radio, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who would watch this program?
My mom.
Great.
No, I mean, the way to go is to first upload it in YouTube with loads of stills, and then once we actually have a few views, we might do it. But it's just too long. 3 hours is ridiculous. Tried it on the Joe Blow one, and we had like an hour or so, and the file size for me was about 700 megabytes. It was 400.
Yeah.
It was
I know. I can dream. Maybe by the time that we're all in our 50s, God forbid we're still at a point where we have to do a radio show every day.
I'll be like, I was ugly then and I'm ugly now. You're a total waste of time.
So, anyone else got any other great news to? Ooh. Here we go. Got something. Veteran Middle East correspondent Alan Hart. Respected Middle East expert and former BBC presenter Alan Hart broke into silence on 9/11 by revealing that the world's most prominent civil engineering company told him directly that the collapse of the Twin Towers was a controlled demolition. Hart said he thought the 9/11 attack probably started as a Muslim operation headed up by Osama bin Laden, but that the plot was subsequently hijacked and carried out by Mossad agents in collusion with elements of the CIA, adding that since its formation, Israel has penetrated every Arab government and terrorist organization. Well, my guess is that at an early point they said to the bad guys in the CIA, hey, this operation is running, what do we do? And the Zionists and the neocons said, let's use it, and said Hart, making reference to how top neocons like Rumsfeld, Wolfowitz, and their fellow Logic for a New American Century authors had called for a catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor the year before 9/11.
So, send us the link, young man, so we can read it for ourselves.
Certainly, not a problem. My pleasure. Thank you so much for calling me a young man. I'm
Great. Hello. Hey. So then on the fly they freaking sprayed the building in a hurry?
Say that again?
How long it would take for them to spray the building?
Buildings came down within seconds.
No, they sprayed it with thermite. It would have taken several big days like they had. They didn't
You need to turn your mic volume up, Lenny. So yeah, the Twin Towers were brought down by a controlled ground explosion, not the plane, said Hart, adding that this view was based on his close friendship with consultants who work with the world's leading civil engineering and construction firms. Hart asked the company to study the collapse of the Twin Towers, after which they told him directly, quote, there's absolutely no doubt whatsoever that the towers were brought down by a controlled ground explosion. It even references the Israelis who were Mossad agents filming it and everything else. Oh, how wonderful.
nice to know that nearly a decade after the event, people are willing to finally come out and declare for the official record.
Yeah, it's
a false flag.
Just for the record. It's just
right. And not do it right away, not come out and state as soon as it happens that this is being used to control you. No. Wait until all the control measures have been put in place and complacently accepted by vast elements of the populace before you come out and say, oh, by the way, we're sorry, we screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, the CIA will come out in 2020 and say, you know what, we really killed JFK. Sorry about that. Had to happen. Just one of those things you wouldn't have understood at the time anyway, so let's get back to business as usual.
Just reading right.
I mean, anyone watching that demolition knew that it had to be used a controlled ground implosion. I was blown away when Lenny talked about the planes being CGI'd into the video feed. And then upon reflection and going back over what we actually saw and what is even allowed out anymore to be used even in the videos that are available online about it, you aren't given the opportunity to access the live feeds that the different news channels that are all based out of New York City had access to. You aren't even allowed to access to the broadcast of these live news organizations, NBC, ABC, CBS, on the day of 9/11 until after a certain point. Well, why shouldn't you be allowed to go back and listen to what was actually said after the fact? Oh, that's right, because if you did, you'd suddenly realize that they never mentioned planes. All they mention are explosions. In fact, the video coverage of people on the ground, no one ever mentions planes. They mention explosions.
You're just trying to kill me. You're just torturing me. No! I've been screaming on the internet. Nobody can hear you scream. I've been screaming for a freaking half hour here, and you just keep as if it started as a Muslim thing, and somehow they sprayed the building in 5 seconds.
No. I'm not saying that.
And then,
It's my information that the security and the sniffer dogs were withdrawn for a week or two.
Yes. They had 2 weekends in a row to spray the building. They didn't start off as... There's no Muslim connection to this at all. None.
Of course. No one said that there was any Muslim connection.
I'm bald now. I had to unplug everything to get this audio back up.
Deep breath,
and he's
breath.
got no...
Into the nose, out to the mouth. No one said that there was any Muslim connection.
Yeah, they did. You read an article about it.
I read an article in which somebody made a statement, but that wasn't an indication of it being absolute fact. Don't scream at me.
I just don't understand. You could have heard. I was just tape the room here. You hear me scream as the audio goes down.
Lenny is now bald because he's been pulling his hair out.
I know. I don't know what I'm gonna
do. All of his hair. Wow.
Well, there's increasing evidence, including from the guy who used to be in charge of the Marine school, tech school, suggesting that everybody in the military now knows it was a Mossad-inspired operation.
I never said Muslim. I said Mossad. Maybe you can't hear well enough, right?
So there we go.
Yeah, next it'll be I'm just crying in the background. It'll be great. What a great show.
Well, upload it and re-edit it however you want.
You should hear last Friday. I haven't put it up yet, but it's all Sid Barrett in the background. I mean, we're all talking semi-intelligently. He's singing, "You're my gigolo auntie."
The Obama administration has briefed the Supreme Court and has backed the Vatican's claim of immunity from lawsuits arising from cases of sexual abuse by priests in the United States.
They had to pay all those out.
Well,
imagine how much that would be.
Smack me in the mouth.
I mean, you don't understand how much money that is.
Because Barack Obama is a Muslim?
Sure, yeah, he's a real Muslim, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the guy must have a Star of David on his chest.
Well, sure. That doesn't mean that he isn't a Muslim in, his private life.
Right. Oh, I'm sure he's a member of 5 times a day. He's out there praying. What a Muslim he is.
Okay. So, his Luciferianism.
Thank you.
Is getting in the way of the Catholic pedophilia?
Well, the Catholics own the Muslims.
The Catholics own the Muslims?
They started Islam, yeah. They're responsible.
The Catholics started Islam.
Yes. That's why it'll be really easy to merge it back in. That's why they have to pretend to be against the Israelis right now. They're going to merge it back in.
Whoa. Okay, I'm going to ask for clarification because that doesn't make any sense to me.
It's well known. There are a lot of aspects of this research you're not familiar with.
Right.
I'll fill you in.
Okay.
It's complicated.
That's all right. We've got time. We've got 3 hours.
But it's well known.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new segment on our show today.
I'm not going to do it now.
Lenny explains the truth.
The connection between Islam and the Catholic Church is enormous. They did a lot of meddling over there.
I can't imagine the Catholic Church would want to meddle anyway.
That's all they did for about a century.
No.
Well, I mean, a millennium. I mean, they just constantly meddle over there. Then they found oil.
Aren't they the one true church? Ask them, they'll tell you so.
Well, they're the one true Luciferian church. If you love Luciferianism, they're your people. Well, I think what we need is Talking Carl. Hold on.
What was that?
Interesting snippets of news around today.
Alright, what do you got?
Got all sorts. Jamaica declares state of emergency after Obama demands the arrest of the Robin Hood character drug lord.
Sure.
Because he's the only one that's providing the social services to these.
Don't know what that was all about, but okay.
No, that was a recording from 1970 something when Lenny was a baby.
Oh, no. What it really is Lenny's just playing around with his voice alteration element right now. He's playing it back for us. We'll ask him to play my high-pitched laugh at some point here soon.
So he's what you're trying to say? He's playing with his ding-a-ling.
Well, somebody's got to, I suppose. There you go. So, keep going. I'm sorry, Caribbean. You're just going to have to bear with the insanity that goes on.
That was the first discussion, wasn't it, in the program? That Americans are all insane.
Well, yeah, of course we are. We're all crazy.
Yeah. No, just Americans. You guys
Americans.
Don't even come close to our craziness.
And of course, you are actually defined as insane terrorists.
Right, but America, that's a virtue.
Right. It has to be.
Not the phony label of terrorism, but our fundamental insanity. We're really crazy here. This is America. But we're not terrorists.
Well, we've known that for an awful long time, because when we hear bits and snippets of news in the old country, the first reaction is, only in America could that happen.
I know, but they take it wrong over there. We're crazy in the best possible way. It's not in England. They always take it wrong, and they always report it badly because guess who runs the news? But we're crazy in a really good way.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, crazy is great.
Insanity is the spice of life.
Don't take it too far there, but.
So craziness, not insanity.
The AC. Oh, hang on a minute. We're talking maps and A to Z's here. A to Z got it right. Oops. Oh, that would be Arizona, wouldn't it? A to Z.
Yep. Yeah, aren't they wonderful? I'm so glad I get to live in this country. It's so fun. At least it doesn't bore you. The United States of Arizona.
Well, that's always Arizona's always a dodge. There's always a trick going on there.
Even from the America Free Press.
Right.
Sorry. That hurts a little bit.
Good.
They even refer to it as the United States of Arizona. That's great.
I gotta get out of this country.
I'm not so sure that getting out of this country is going to help is the problem, because just getting out of this country is only going to prolong.
Follow the families, and everybody is disappearing from the northern hemisphere into the southern hemisphere. Do they know something we don't know?
Is it the Yellow Brick Road?
Well, like Oprah Winfrey's quitting, Simon Cowell's quitting, all these major, huge individuals that have been media moguls and have captivated the world's attention, supposedly, are leaving their multi-million-dollar posts and saying, well, I'll be back sometime 2012, 2013 to do blah, 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 supposedly, and they're all leaving the country. They're all starting to transfer their assets out of the country. But nothing bad can happen.
Hey, that's not fair. That's not fair.
What, mentioning that they are doing it, or that they get to do it and I don't?
Exactly. But something else that's not fair. The Alex Jones Prison Planet, if you go to the version that I can get to, is just a grey and blue page. But if you go using that link that you just sent me through the American system, I get all pretty colours. That's not fair.
Oh, of course it is. It's absolutely fair, because
everything's more grey in England.
It's just this just goes to show that America is crazy.
Well, it's not that America is crazy, it's that they're working harder and harder and harder to squash the ability
for less and less money
to be able to access any of the information that's propagated here. You know, I would consider it a good thing. At least you no longer have to rely upon American media or American news, no matter what its source, to be able to inform yourself about what's going on there.
We're the ones that showed you the black and white moon launch. You know what I mean? It was all, they shot off the wall, by the way. They had it in color, and they forced the world to watch it in black and white.
Just to cheer everyone on.
So we're going to have everything in black and white now. It's going to be great.
Just to cheer everyone on. I have a beautiful snippet of useless information. Barry Soetoro's approval rating has dropped to just 41%.
Woohoo! Hey,
Well,
that's 40% higher than I would give it.
Well, he's following in his predecessor's footsteps, isn't he? It'll soon
Carter?
be 20%.
Well, I don't think Dick Cheney's approval rating was ever that high. Oh, you mean the puppet?
Carter was the previous puppet of Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Well, right, no, but I think he's referring to
That
No.
that privet hedge.
Yeah, the Cabbage Patch Kid who wound up being president for like 8 years. Oh, right, Bush Jr.
No, he wasn't. It wasn't the Cabbage Patch Kid. He was the Cabbage Patch puppet. I wonder who's making him move. I wonder who's got his hand up.
That was the father. Bush Sr. had 7 terms in office.
Yep. Twice under Reagan, once for himself.
Twice
under Clinton, and then twice under his son. And I wonder if possibly you could even claim that he has control even going on right now.
No, that's Zbigniew Brzezinski. But even when he was a young man, Bush Sr. was called Poppy because he's a heroin addict.
Well, no wonder he stayed so thin. And loves
Poppy.
jumping out of planes.
Yeah. Well, when he jumps out of a plane, someone's on his back. Did you know that?
Yeah, you ever notice that? Yeah. Well, maybe he's the catcher, not the pitcher. Right? Nothing better than the individual who worked so hard to pass into legislation and sign into legislation drug enforcement laws than the man whose life was saved during World War II because his parachute and the ropes connecting his pack to his chute were all made of hemp. Oh yeah, but hemp marijuana is the awful, evil, dangerous, deadly, vile creation of the populace to manipulate minds into creating and acting upon criminal thoughts. Not heroin.
I just let him thud when he bombs like this.
Do you?
You.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you do. I thank you. I hope you cut all the music out from underneath.
I know. Go on, Caribbean.
All right. Another snippet of useless information. The IPCC found telling lies, a pack of lies even, about sea level rises. Yeah, all right. This is about as good a story as Dog Bites Man. Nonsense again. We've been.
Sea levels rising?
Yeah, it's just more feeding into the matrix, isn't it? This psychology of control. Good grief. Governmental. They've got to be mental, haven't they? They've got to be crazy.
Must be American.
I think the disease is spreading. This mental aberration. Appears to be spreading to the Caribbean.
Don't tell us that. We're all going to up and move to the island that you're on, and we're going to do the show from there, so it can't spread that far. Well, and if your prime minister walks down the street and you can talk to him about the roads, you're a billion miles up on us.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite easy to just see anybody in so-called authority. Too easy.
Well, but you live in such a blissful little small stretch of land.
With no cameras.
Okay, that's
no surveillance.
Shall we take a vote? How many people decide that we should all move to that island and run the show from there? I'm in. No one else? No one? No one at all?
I'm packing. I'm packing right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. So that's 2. Caribbean doesn't get a vote because he's already there. Maggot? Maggot? I'm sorry. I think I hear Maggot on the other line with the airline representative securing his ticket. So.
Is Maggot even connected?
We should be there soon.
Maggot could always pew paint and fly here himself.
True.
And Lenny, good grief, I've seen a photograph of him.
I'm a truck.
He's so small.
He's got wings.
Yeah. The scales of justice and that big sword, we're all set.
Right, there you go. You've already vanquished your opponent, apparently, so all you have to do is just jump.
No, that's a coming battle. I have a lot of work to do. That Gabriel's one's retired.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Just remember, throw yourself at the ground and miss.
Oh, no, I had a fight. It's not a joke. I'm the only one left. All the other people I've never met named Estratios are dead now. They're all like that. They were all like 96 when I ever met them. So, I'm the only one left. When the wings sprout, you guys will stop laughing, you know.
Can I ask a favor then? May I name one of my children as a middle name, Estratios?
No, I have a Constantine.
Right, but it's my child, so I can't give him the first name of Estratios.
Well, maybe, but you know,
I would then have to follow up the Constantine then with Mercedes.
It's complicated. The whole naming structure is very complex.
Well, and I understand that, but we're in America. We're crazy. I don't have to worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Listen, man. You've got to send us a text with your full name on, Abstratius, so that we can practice pronouncing it.
Yeah, send us the phonetic version, too.
And it shall appear.
Right? Ask and you shall be given. Evstratios. Os?
Evstratios.
Is it
Constantine Moretis.
Yeah.
So, you've got
practice. That's enough practice. That's it.
Os.
That's enough practice. End, finish, end. That's enough practice. We've got it.
So, Lenny, it's so much easier when I'm trying to talk about you to other people.
Great.
If you say Estratios, and they go, what? Okay, Lenny. Oh, I understand that. So I'm glad that you decided to choose a regular American name.
Lenny Bruce is a regular American name.
It's an apple.
Lenny Bruce said the first time he met someone named Bruce, they tried to kiss him.
Hey, what?
That wasn't even Lenny Bruce's real name.
Do you know, I was always under the misimpression that all Australians were Bruce.
That's from the Monty Python bit, yeah.
Hi, Bruce. You're right.
Good day, Bruce. Yeah.
Bruce. Well, you know, that's like the American conception that Canadians all use the term A. So, what's up, A? How you doing, A? Hey, that's...
Yeah, but SCTV's a lot less popular. I love SCTV.
But then I found out and came to the understanding because of a friend of mine that spent 2 years in Canada that A is nothing more than the American That's it. So, what are you doing today, huh?
And that would be the British,
Right, exactly. We all had that some kind of stuff.
So we've all learned something today.
What is it in Barbados?
I daren't say it on the air.
Come on, you're a free man. This is a free man show.
No, because it begins with an N, then is an I, then a G, and an A.
Gotcha. So it's not so much that it's a free man principle, it's a somebody might get really, really upset. For no reason.
It is. But that's what they call each other over there.
Wow.
But we're not allowed to, of course.
Of course not. I do have to bring this up just because it's hysterically funny. Did anyone watch Family Guy's season finale on Sunday, where they did their version of The Empire Strikes Back?
No, nobody watches that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad.
You've got to turn the television off.
The only reason I bring it up is because the term nerf herder, which is a brilliant moment, comes up.
Does anyone watch television anymore?
No.
Many people do.
You have to watch, like, Melt Up. Yeah. Melt Up is actually quite good. That's on YouTube right now.
Watch what?
Melt Up?
No idea what that is.
I know. It's really sad.
Well, you know, I would watch more things on YouTube.
It's the opposite of...
Somehow my speakers and stuff don't work.
You don't ever call me.
As Melt Up is the exact and diametric opposite to Melt Down.
Yeah.
But you're still melting. It's still liquefying. It's still just running everywhere.
Yeah, we're in big trouble.
So where do we go from here, chaps?
Barbados. We'll be there later this afternoon. We'll expect you to pick us up.
Okay.
Yep. We're all going to be landing sometime between 7 and 8 o'clock.
I've rerouted Don. Don's going to Antarctica.
So,
really?
So
I already routed myself to Antarctica.
Excellent.
So we can do the tomorrow's show from the beach.
Wouldn't that be nice? Can you imagine what that would sound like, though? Would it be so?
The gently rolling waves in the background.
Glug, 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 glug.
There you go. What a thought. What a picture it puts in your mind.
3 hours is
that picture's us drowning Don, so.
Hey, I don't drown that easily. People have tried before, and they have failed. You're welcome to step up to the plate anytime you want. Sorry, I don't really imagine the conversation. Hopefully there's great...
Wow, I can afford this.
Right.
$422.
For what?
To Barbados.
That's it?
Yeah.
That's not bad. Round trip or one way?
One way. I'm not coming back.
Well, that's what I'm asking. For a round trip, that's a great price.
You know, it's 19 freaking hours?
For one way? Whoa,
19 hours?
Hours?
Yes.
No. From where I live in Michigan to Florida is less than 4 hours.
Yeah, but you have to change planes not only in Newark.
Layover.
You have to change planes in Newark and JFK.
Oh, you're going the... Why would you go to Whoa. You're flying from Cincinnati, and you're going to go north?
I'm going to fix it. I prefer non-stops. Here we go.
Oh, come on. There's no way that's right. That's ridiculous. Not Barbados.
Nope, there's no non-stop. Wait, let's see. 8 hours for $500. Yeah, it's still to change planes in Miami.
Even 8 hours is a long time. How long's your layover?
I don't know.
That's
I think there are the odd direct flights from New York. Jeff.
You know what? I would just fly to Florida and charter a boat.
I don't know. See, my iPod has a really good battery in it. It's a new one again.
I still say just charter a boat.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And let's see, Michigan to Antarctica. I gotta plot that one still.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
That's part of my achieving happiness, is that I would be in Barbados and he would be in Antarctica. This is great.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that I could add to your happiness. Anything I can do to make your life that much easier. Okay, I can go one way from Detroit to Barbados, non-stop, for $500. And you're closer. And you've got to be routed through places, and I don't.
Which service are you using?
Fair Compare.
Oh, I'm using TravelYahoo.com.
I'll put in Antarctica.
I like the ones where you don't have to tell them when you're leaving. And then they tell you when the best time to go is. Because otherwise you're never going to get there. I mean, they have it fixed so that you can never get a good rate. Yeah, flexible dates. See, that's how it all works.
The least expensive option.
Right.
Always.
They make it impossible to go from Cincinnati to anywhere, so
I can't find anything for Antarctica. Somebody give me a place in Antarctica that
I don't think they have airports, but we'll find something. We'll parachute you in or something.
Good, I'm glad.
We'll fix that. Oh, you can't do any time. You have to, leave before the 16th of next month? Wow. They've just so screwed everybody. I couldn't leave before June 1st.
So, maybe a couple weeks, but we'll get there soon.
I hate the whole travel industry. I hate everybody involved.
Do you need a passport to go to Barbados?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. So that probably means we are legally,
I have one.
quote unquote, obligated to have visas to the States.
It's complicated. I don't know. Oh, wait, I think Evan Spencer's going to go on. Ooh.
Oh, right. We wanted to talk to you about your current project in New York. Wrong button. God's gonna look. Mendelssohn driven around Alps in a classic Ferrari of Rothschild's heir at the center of £500 million dinner with an oligarch. After the unrewarding task of trying to keep Labour in power, Lord Mendelssohn is no doubt relieved to be back in the old routine, courting the rich and famous. The famous business secretary is pictured in the passenger seat of a black open-topped Ferrari Daytona Spider worth at least £250,000 at the wheel of his friend's 38-year-old banking heir, Nat Rothschild, who was offering hospitality to the Labour peer at one of his chalets in Gloucester in the Swiss Alps. Yay. Nice to know that people in positions of influential power only hang out with people in positions of influential power. My whole day is nice. I'm happy now.
Say hello.
Hi guys, how everybody doing?
Even when Don talks, even the cat just yawns like it's just hopeless.
Aw, isn't that sweet and nice?
Yeah,
If you see gaming. Hi Evan, how are you today?
I'm doing good. It's about 90 degrees and it's about as thick and heat as it's been.
Gotta love New York.
Gotta love New York.
So, just to give our listeners a background on what's going on, Lenny, you want to introduce our guest and give a brief introduction as to what we're trying to help them with.
yeah. If you think being a free man on the land is difficult, try it in New York City.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, that's what Evan's trying to do.
Despite the tone for what New York City represents, the city of lights and all that stuff, it does kind of come with an understanding that they all project upon everyone to think that you come here, be ready for the ultimate fight.
And every time every time I think I've got the Evan situation solved, it's New York. It blows up again somehow. It's incredible.
Well, it's got a whole different set, doesn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But see, I'm an avid Stern listener, so I'm prepared for these things.
That's good.
Yeah, I've heard of how impossible it is.
That's absolutely good. Well, Evan, I don't know if you've been on with everyone before, but with us is Maggot from the UK and the Caribbean
Yeah,
Critic.
he's been on several times.
Oh, well, see, I've been gone for so long that no one fills me in on any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Problem. Hey, Maggot. Hey.
I think Maggot's getting washed up.
Could be.
Caribbean Critic.
That
So,
massive jet lag he's got going on. So.
You see, Evan, you have to realize this show's a whole lot better with the music behind it.
I see.
Yeah, it's not on right now, but it will be underneath.
Yep. Listen to the archives. We sound brilliant.
Yeah.
Listen to us live. Well, everyone sounds kind of like me.
Okay.
No one sounds like Don.
Thanks. I appreciate that. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or...
No, it's not. There's no compliment there at all.
Well, good to know we're all on the same page. Woohoo. So,
You should see Maggot's comments during the show. Privately to me.
nice.
All right. I don't know. So what's going on? Did you go to the notary?
Yes, today's adventure was to meet up with the notary as we left off with the claim of right that everyone has received. We have a lawyer that's involved, law firm. We have a housing authority that claims some allegations of unpaid debt, which is untrue. And we have the actual management office who initiated all the action about 12 months ago. Everybody got taken care of. I had to return to the notary the mailing tickets. It's a mailing certificate of mailing. It's a form 3817, and the certified ticket that comes from a certified mail when you use that ticket to put upon the letter. I had them to make photocopies for my file, and I'm returning the originals to him to put safely away. So, interestingly enough, that occurred okay. Just to travel out, that was the real challenge. It took about 10 minutes to do that. It took over.
Is he of a helpful demeanor about this, or is he kind of a lawyer?
He is of a helpful demeanor.
Okay.
He's not a lawyer. He's in the case of what he's actually doing for me, for all the listeners, he's doing a protest on one part of my behalf, and also will be initiating a judgment should there be a refusal to pay at the end of 30 days from Tuesday. One actual individual that would be the housing authority received their information on Tuesday. The other two parties had received theirs on Monday. So, tick the clock until that occurs. I also want to point out, in the response time for all of us who received presentments, that the response time, just to be clear, 72 hours to make sure that you send away whatever item you are not accepting or choose to accept for whatever reason, and send that back to the party that it originated from, certified mail, return receipt, and that will keep you inside the safe window for response time. 72 hours response time. Interesting enough. That has a lot of impact on anyone taking any action should you be unclear about the response time. And I do also want to point out that I haven't run into anything that suggests Saturday and Sunday. My God, anyone can correct me if I'm incorrect here. Is also included. So
do you think they're going to try to evict you on the 31st?
No, I don't. Only because the claim of right by what Brilliant critics said, you install the without prejudice reference and state that at the top of your document. You put yourself into a whole category that prohibits them from being able to now say against what you claimed as a right and your right to say you are and what you're not. So I'd like to see what will happen. Mind you, this is not only an action, but it's also an experiment. I don't want anybody to think that should the levees break for some unknown reason, and I should have to exit stage left. I'm prepared for that too. So, by all means, anyone in any type of situation, just well prepare yourself should you start taking action. For
this is a learning curve, Evan. It is a learning curve, and you are bound to make mistakes when you first start to practice this system of law rather than statute. And once you become practiced, the more you practice it, the more knowledge you'll gain. And it may take you 2 or 3 attempts, and then you'll win one.
Yes.
And once you win one, that'll give you the confidence, and then you can really go after it.
Yep, he's coming to my house when this fails.
How long have you been doing it, Evan? For how long?
This particular situation, 12 months, but the total incident for the default or breach of contract, whatever we be using on that, 10 years. And my actual knowledge into this area began 4 years ago, and it took me to this time working a full-time job, of which no longer do I work a full-time job. This is pretty much my full-time job under the understanding of the McKinney thing. But about a year for that.
Using the Mackenzie Friend principle.
Yes, using the Mackenzie Friend principle. So this has been a 4-year journey. The most speed picked up for everyone listening. The most speed.
Has it got serious that they've actually sent the eviction, the bailiffs round?
No, not for me. For other tenants, one did experience that, but there was a sort of a mix-up and very bad misunderstanding in the way that I was helping this particular tenant. There was documents that were responded to in honor and not accepted, but returned for their value. And in doing so, there was a mistake by one of the co-tenants who established joinder when they offered her something in the mail. She responded. With a payment that caused her to now, because she's the co-tenant, they just grouped her back with the main tenant and established joinder. Out goes another notice of eviction, which is like a pink copy someone would get that has to court.
Well, those are the sort of mistakes that you learn by.
Yes. But very important for those listening, if taking action, make sure you stick with your action. Do not establish any connection to whatever the claim against you is, because if you establish connection to this is definitely what I've learned just in the short conversations with the Bourbon critic. You have established joinder, and you have now put yourself in that situation willingly, and you don't want to do that. So make sure anything you state is against.
Most of the time, unfortunately, this happens to people that are learning this process. Just an example, they'll call you into court and you'll identify yourself. Basically, you've identified yourself, but at the same time, you've identified yourself as the accused. You've accused yourself.
Yes. Yes.
You've accused yourself, so you stand at the back of the court. That sounds very similar to my name. That's not me, but I've seen this person in the court, Your Honour. Yeah. Your Honour, could you please point to where the accused is? Right. And if he's stupid enough to point, then he's taking responsibility for that.
Oh. Evan Christopher of the Spencer family. For those of us who have middle names or not, an example of that would be my middle name is Evan Christopher of the Spencer family. And for those who have a first and last name, Evan of the Spencer family.
Let me tell you a little story that I'm dealing with now with a friend of mine in the UK, and his full name is well, I won't say his full name, but that's what his family called him. But on Skype and on the internet and on all his friends now call him by a different name, so he is now known as Matt G. His name. So when he's going into court this time, they're going to call the names. No, that's not my name. My name's Matt G. That's how I'm known. Yeah. And he's got documentation and emails and all sorts of things that you can go into the court with and say, look, that's who I am. This is another person. This isn't me. And then he can. Then he's his own advisor and his own Mackenzie friend. Well, his straw man's Mackenzie friend. So away he goes, and we were discussing various strategies. There's two strategies we can follow, because you're not bound by any. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Yes. You're not bound by any. So we are considering actually using their system against them. So he's going to. He may actually go into the court, and when they call his name, go in and let himself be accused. Accuse himself, stand in the dark. And then he's going to start asking questions. Just ask questions. And the questions go as so forth. Are we all considered equal under the law? And the judge has got to say, has got to say yes. So then he's going to turn to the court stenographer and say, can you read that answer and the question and the answer back to me, so that I know it's on the record. Right? Once they've done that, then he'll turn to the judge. Am I presumed innocent unless proven otherwise? And he's got to say yes. So turn to the stenographer again. Please read that question and answer back to me. And then excuse me, my nose is running.
that just to translate for Evan, that's a foreign country. In America, they would have sworn at you and tasered you by now during this process several times, and then you have memory loss and all that. You know,
quite a few people have experienced
from the tasering, yeah. But in a foreign country, they can do this.
Yeah, and then you're gonna ask: does this court operate without prejudice? You know, I just need to get these things clear in my mind because I'm representing myself. You know, I'm presenting my own case. I'm not representing anything. I'm presenting my own case. And he'll ask again. He'll turn to the stenographer, and the stenographer will read the question and the answer back to the court, and then he's going to turn to the people in the gallery, because there's always people sitting in the court just listening to the cases. These people, I don't know why they do it, but they're interested in what's happening. Right, and he's just going to say at the top of his voice, "You have all heard the judge say we are of equal standing in this court. You've all heard the judge say that this court acts without prejudice. You've all heard the judge say that I am innocent until proven otherwise. Well, as I'm as equal standing to the bench, the judge, I now pronounce myself innocent and dismiss this case. Thank you for your time. Goodbye." And just walk straight out of the court. Because he's got the same power as the judge. That we are considered under the law to be equal. So we've got equal standing. So they're not above him and they're not below him. He's equal to them. So he's just going to pronounce himself innocent, dismiss the case, pick up his things and just walk straight out the court and see if they try and stop him. If they try to stop him, he's going to tell them, you know, you've just heard what the judge, you've had it read to you twice, you know I'm an innocent man, you lay your hand on me, and that's assault. Right? If that doesn't work, and they
No. It's all in the purpose of national security. You're obviously a
terrorist,
an infidel, and a terrorist. So we need to taser you because you've just undermined the judge.
And
no, this is all legally correct. Just in America, they won't follow the rules.
Right.
And then if by some chance they actually force him back, then he's going to turn round and make the prosecution his fiduciary counsel.
Another valid move. That's correct. But God help you.
That means, and the prosecution cannot refuse to act as your fiduciary counsel. It's part of the Law Society rules. Otherwise, he loses his license to practice law. So he's got to take it. Now he's placed in a position where he's got to act against you and act for you. He's between a rock and a hard place. And if the
wait a minute, isn't that double jeopardy?
You just placed him in a position. He's acting for the prosecution, but he's also acting for the defence.
Yeah, that's perfectly okay.
So I'm prosecuting you and defending you at the same time. You're guilty.
And guess what? Guess what? In law, right? The superior position is the defence, not the prosecution.
Always, because the prosecution has to prove their case.
Exactly. All the defence has to do is show reasonable doubt.
Right. Indicate that the prosecution's argument has inconsistency.
That's it. And if that's only in the dire case that he's actually dragged physically back into the court, he'll make the guy his fiduciary counsel. And if they then proceed to go, that's a clear conflict of interest and prejudicial to his defence, right?
Which is a violation.
Which is a violation. And then he's going to say, you know, this is clear prejudice because you forced me back into the court when I've shown that I am of equal stature and standing to the bench, and the case has been dismissed. Now you're dragging me back in forcibly, so that's clear prejudice. You know, this is a mistrial. You must rule a mistrial.
Absolutely. Well, and that's first of all assuming that you allowed yourself to be taken to court personally.
Right.
Yeah, but it depends on what circumstances. Now, what this guy and me are doing, we are taking this particular case to court because even if we lose hand over fist, the worst case scenario is going to be like 14 days to serve, and it's a weekend. Yeah, and you can't get released in the UK over a weekend. So we're now talking, instead of 14 days, 12 days, and then good time, time for good behaviour.
Good behaviour.
Yeah. So his maximum is going to serve 4 or 5 days. Well, so what we're doing, we are bringing this action as a test, as a what can you call it? A test to see how the principle works. When we were discussing as an example for everybody else, so that I tell you what, we're having great fun.
You're
with
testing it from Barbados with his 14 days in England?
Yeah, he's in England and I'm in Barbados.
Okay, his 14 days. I don't want to do that.
You see, Lenny has this thing against being in jail.
I really don't. I don't like it. I don't like other people to be in jail either. I don't like for my advice to result in them being in jail.
No. You see, we understand. We understand the risks, and everybody has got to. As Robert Menard said, you've got to take the risks. And he's ended up in jail several times, but very soon, once
I've been in jail, I'll probably be in jail again. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, as long as you're having fun, what does it matter?
Even if they're okay with it, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah, you see, once you've done that with different things 3 or 4 times of a similar nature, you can then, if you ever get caught and you have to appear again, you can go, "Excuse me, Your Honour, there is precedent in this matter," and you can point to the 3 cases or 4 cases that you got away with it before,
right.
And say,
"I'm sorry." Exactly.
So you are bound to rule in the same manner. Precedent has been created.
Yeah, I was tossed in jail, and they found 4 my favor. So, been done once, twice, 3, 4 times. So, go ahead and sit up there and act like you're incredibly infallible. But
and then if even that fails, so that the making the prosecution is fiduciary counsel. When they say, do you accept our punishment, which they always do in the UK, he's going to waive that service.
Wow.
Well, here in the US, they say...
That's if they waive benefit service. The jail is a service.
Right.
Yeah. So there you go. And there's even one after that, another strategy. If even that fails, when he was arrested for this trumped-up offence, he spent several days in jail, and they wanted to release him at freaking midnight with no transport. He's 25 miles away from home, freezing cold, end of April, and all he's got on is a t-shirt, a pair of jeans and no shoes, because they wouldn't let him get his things together before they arrested him.
I'm sorry, that's a violation of the Geneva Convention, isn't it?
Anyway, so
I've been incarcerated as an act of war.
Listen to this though. He was being released, and he said, "No, I'm not going." and he went back to the cell and just went in and just laid down and went to sleep. Well, what that did, that took him past midnight, which meant under UK law, now he's spent 4 days in prison, in a police cell. So if everything else fails, including waiving the service, then he's going to say, please rule as time served. What?
Right, no kidding.
Yeah. Well, you know, I've already served 4 days, and that's enough. You know, that's an equitable outcome for this case. Thank you very much.
That's awesome.
So we haven't got just one strategy, we've got 5 that we can, if one fails, we can just go straight on to the next. If that fails, we can go straight on to the next. We've got...
Well, that's the great thing about it.
So
It's understanding how they have written the system, not only so that you can not be part of that system, but when that system is imposed upon you, you know how to use it against them. Because you know better how it operates than they do, or you know how it operates in ways that they won't want.
Well, all these, you see, within the system, there is always remedy. Within the system, there is always remedy. It's the loopholes they've created for themselves. You never see any of these top echelon so-called high-ups ever doing any time much in jail.
Even if they're pulled over for drunk driving, they don't get out of it.
No, of course not. Because they know the way out of it.
Mm-hmm. Unless there's damage caused.
But even then, they're not hauled in. They're still let go, maybe escorted home, and then it's a damage cost levied against them after the fact. You never see pictures or images of the senator so-and-so sitting in a jail cell.
Trafficking.
Except in New York City.
Even on the odd occasion, to create the impression that these people really do suffer from this, they put Scooter Libby inside for a couple of days, and then he's magically released. He's given a complete pardon. Oh, right. Thank you very much. But he was jailed, see? But in the public perception, he was jailed. Yeah, but look a bit further down the line. He spent 2 days inside, and then he got pardoned. You know,
right? And it wasn't really a real jail anyway.
Was it really jail? And I guarantee you, he would have been released straight away, immediately. And it's very difficult to find if he actually did any time, because while he was in custody, being questioned, right? They'll call that time served. They'll call that time served.
Sure. That's it. I've decided. As soon as I have my frontal lobotomy, I'm becoming a politician.
So
you worship Lucifer?
So we're going to have some fun.
Always.
In New York City, one of the other interesting things about the civil side of any actions that would come before the court, the civil side is for housing. It says, titled on their document, that the civil court is funded by the housing authority. If that doesn't scream bias, I don't know what screams.
Well, like that's prejudice there, like there and then.
Absolutely.
See, in the UK, if you research it properly, there are no civil or courts of record, or whatever you like to call them, courts de jure. There are none at all. All the magistrates and other courts are courts de facto, and the Crown Court is just a higher corporate institution. That's why they call it the Crown Court, because it's the Crown Corporation's court. So we don't get civil courts, courts of record. That's even specified in the Law Society's preamble, which you can point to. This is a court de facto. That was another strategy that we can use as well in that case. And this guy has been, is this a court de facto? Or is this a court of record?
God forbid.
You hope they say it's a court de facto. Because if it's a court de facto, when you state that you are of equal standing, you are, because you're both employees of the corporation. And the corporation says you are equal to each other and of equal standing. So your statement then of declaring yourself innocent and dismissing the case is as equally powerful in that de facto court as the magistrates, because you are all employees of the same corporation.
Wow. Welcome to the Incorporated States of America.
And Great Britain.
Well, yeah, because really we're just the Incorporated State of Great Britain, given a different term.
Yep. A subsidiary.
Mm-hmm.
But as with all corporations, the subsidiaries can have slightly different articles of association and statutes and bylaws.
But we can't violate the basic laws of you have to pay your taxes, you have to kowtow to the government, and you can't dissent.
This is the system of control.
Yep.
Of govern.
Absolutely.
Government. So they make you think you are subject to this system of control. That's the whole point of government.
Mm-hmm. To govern a mentality.
And it's a big fiction.
No.
Oh,
really?
honest Injun. It's a big fiction.
I want out.
Well, we all want out. That's exactly what we're here for. I just don't think that you can just leave the country and go anywhere else where it's not going to eventually pervade.
That would get in the way of the global governance.
Actually,
well, right, exactly.
There are methods of...
You can't escape the global government. That's a no-no. Don't do that.
Right, God forbid you ever decide that the one world system isn't the best one. You're a terrorist.
No more.
You're a terrorist.
Right? Exactly.
Yep.
I mean, as you get tased. I mean, the system of torture to make you comply.
Yeah.
Right.
The cattle prods and the stun belt. You know, a lot of those 9/11 people, they all testify with stun belts on.
So when you see, the thing is, of course, when you get your RFID chip, you put your stun belt above the RFID chip. So if it's round your neck, you put your belt round your neck. so if they stun you, it fries the RFID.
All right, so it's $441 to Barbados, and I know it's a long flight, but my iPod, I'm going to charge it up in advance.
So here's my thing. If it's $441,
I've got that on me. Let's go.
Are we talking reserve notes or actual money?
Whatever they want. I'm out. I'm leaving.
I've got a great lineage.
I think all we should do is just promise to pay. We don't need to
promise.
Promise. Well, I promise.
There we go. I'm going to issue them a notice of promise to pay. I promise to pay you by the time I'm dead if your corporation still exists.
Yeah. The sum of $441 of currency. Have some more promises.
I will promise to give you 441 Federal Reserve debt notes. Before
I don't want him chasing me around. I'm not coming back to Cincinnati. This is it. I just can't take it here.
Next Monday,
Evan can move in here.
Join us as we broadcast live from Barbados. That would be awesome.
Evan can just have my house.
Oh, man.
Come here, and I'll leave.
You know what? Evan can have my animals. My husky's not going to survive in Barbados.
No, Vicious Monster's coming with me. He's really a cool cat.
Yeah. Tell you what, I'll leave the dog and cats with the wife, and I'll just come down there. And you can all try and drown me. At multiple points.
Well, all you have to do, you see, is give notice in the notice papers of your national and local rag. I will no longer be responsible for Mrs. So-and-so's debts, contracts, blah, 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 and put it in the rag. From then on, you're no longer responsible.
That'll be great. I'm all about it.
And if the institutions who come chasing you for her debts don't read that, that's their problem, not yours. Mm-hmm. You are not liable. You know you have no obligation to them because you've given them notice. I
gave notice. You didn't pay attention. Not my fault.
Not my fault.
Just to repeat for everybody listening, what I'm hearing now, I actually did myself, part of the housing case, giving notice to the local papers and putting their notice in there for them to notice. If they don't notice, that's on them. It was there for them to notice. That's another good tactic in way of remedy when you're taking any course that you need to put someone on notice.
Yeah. When I did the same thing on the advice of I'm going to have to spit here, attorney, to do that.
Ooh,
just put notices.
Ouch! Sorry, you just hurt my ear. You could have given me a better warning than that. Ow!
In the local paper and the national paper of, well, it's not really national; it's a London paper, but that gives notice to all the officers of government because that's the capital. And if they don't take notice, that's their problem. When I was getting divorced, and that sort of put me onto this system of notices. You know, if I had to use it again, I had to put a notice on my gate and in the local paper. I hereby give notice that this parcel of land has building planning permission on, and I intend to build this property. Blah blah blah. You know. And they only get, and in the UK they only get 7 days to object.
Must be nice. In the US it's 30.
Yeah.
That's the standard here. But that it's probably only 15, I think. I'm not sure.
So we have some interesting...
So anyway, 7 days in the UK.
Yeah. We have some interesting time. It's 7 working days, which works out to 9, 10 real days, you know?
Right, with the weekend and everything else.
Exactly. But we are in for some interesting times as we progress forward with this project. We should call it Project Freedom.
Project Freedom.
Great. It's better than Project Mayhem.
Yeah, we don't want nothing to do with Project Liberty. It's yeah, we're not going to call ourselves Project Licensers.
Damn right. Although I have a license to call myself Liberty. I had to pay for it, though.
Liberty was the name of Ford's dog.
Isn't that nice? Gerald R. Ford, a Michigan native. Woohoo!
Woof, woof. So I'm quite looking forward to these little experiments. trials and tribulations. It's going to be fun.
Well, you know, even Paul in the Bible talks about that trials and tribulations were necessary for the proving of faith. And as much as I understand and appreciate Evstratios' position of not wanting anyone to have to sit in jail, it's going to happen. It has to happen. It's the only way that it can happen. It's that they have to incarcerate you, process you, think that they're in control before they suddenly hit the point where they realize, oh my God.
Well, it's going to happen. It's going to happen that way. They call it the legal process. You notice they don't call it the lawful process.
Well, why would they?
Because it ain't lawful. Wonderful.
Exactly. They have to operate legally, not lawfully. That's fine. If somebody wants to incarcerate me over a legal precedent, great. And then the instant you realize that I have removed myself from the legal proceedings, you're going to suddenly start asking questions.
They don't like that.
Well, that's fine. They don't have to like it. I don't care. My hope is that as Menard had experienced, in which he educated an officer in operation of what they thought was their right, but they were acting as a policy enforcement officer as opposed to a peace officer, he charged them with, you have a due diligence now to find out the truth. And the next time that Menard ran into them, they had been promoted because they could no longer use that person, that human being, as a policy enforcement officer because he wouldn't do it. He knew what truth was.
Well, he had to then honour his oath to uphold the common law, not
the Constitution, not the policy.
Not the policy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the dictionaries, a statute is described as a legal procedure. A legal procedure. If you look at what a bylaw is, that is described as the rules of a corporation.
Sure. I mean, the statutes, bylaws, ordinances, anything that you look up other than law is always defined as a part of a particular group's legislation. The problem is that people believe that they're part of a society that they can't define. And I've asked that question. It's been one of my favorite questions to ask people is when they say, well, you're violating the rules of society. I said, what society? Well, the American society. I said, do you have a membership card for that?
Whenever anybody asks me what society I belong to the Worldwide Society of Freemen.
Yep, I belong to the World Freeman Society. Completely and totally. It's the only society that I belong to. And ID cards are being finalized now for all of us, which is great because, well, quite frankly, it's the only society that I want to belong to. And people will yell at me and argue, well, if you don't like what's going on in this country, why don't you just leave? Why? All I want to do is leave this society. I'm not going to change my physical location. Even if I'm on the 28th floor of a high-rise apartment in New York City, my physical location has nothing to do with the society that I belong to. So I'll leave the society. I'm okay with that. That's fine. I get no problems with it. Bye-bye. Well, you haven't left. Where do I need to leave? All I've done is told you I don't have to be obligated under your rules anymore. That's it. It's all done. I'm sorry, Lenny, are we keeping you awake?
Even the cat fell asleep.
Of course you did. I'm sorry, was I talking?
Yeah.
I must have been talking. I didn't even notice. Wow. Somebody wake me up when I do that. Call me on the phone or something. Jeez.
I'm working on a stun belt.
That's good. That's good. I can't wait to receive it.
Can't you get a stun gadget for his phone? Just like electrocutes him when he starts talking too much.
So, you know what will happen though? Is that all you'll hear from me all show long for 3 hours is
I'm all for that. That's good.
That's good. I'm glad.
I'm good with that. Do you have a problem with that? I like that.
If you seek Amy.
Yeah.
Glad that I can provide comedic experience for the rest of you.
Hey, leave her on radio. What are we doing on radio? I can't figure this out.
It's all about you.
I would like to add one thing especially to all the listeners. Someone in one of my circle of friends mentioned that this particular person who was doing a protest, before it got to the point of protest, notices were sent out, and he had found himself in a jam where the court took action against him and arrested him and charged him with solicitation to the court. Now, I just want to put a point on this for just 1 second and allow some of our listeners to realize it's interesting to know that when you're involved in any form of a protest, should a party that is going back and forth with you go to court, put in an index number, send you a notice of petition of any sort, requesting anything from the court, there's something from the court coming out to you, that is, in New York, I'm speaking only of in the main frame here, that is your action to begin. Now, should you, beforehand, before any case or index number is picked up from the court at all, or sent to you, or filed for, or sent to you, and you put a notice in about the matter that has not reached them yet, they don't always do, but they are well within their right. So I heard of the way that this occurred, that they can get you on that charge of solicitation, because what they won't tell you, but the underlying meaning is you're causing a bias to a case that we haven't seen yet, so you're trying to sway their view before anyone actually got anything in there to even talk about it. So technically, you've got to sort of wait for the first shot to be fired before you can paper shoot back. So for those listening,
well, of course.
Yeah. Some people have been tripped up. Like, there's a person who actually got caught in that nature. And that was a crucial catch, because what you may think you're doing in the course of a conversation with others, or maybe misinformation or misunderstanding of some sort, be very clear that when you take an action towards the court, make sure you receive something from them first. Don't try to go ahead and put a notice in there about the matter that has not reached them yet. Okay.
Well, again, first of all, why is anyone following this court?
Good point.
The court has nothing to do with achieving satisfaction. The court exists purely to keep you in conflict. It wants you to be in conflict. That's why lawyers advertise. That's why they tell you, oh, well, as soon as you disagree with somebody, go to court. They want you in court because the instant that you enter court, you're in dishonor. You have every opportunity to not have to go to court.
That's absolutely correct. And a lot of us listening take note to that important fact. Your notary, that's the man, that's the court, that's the judge, that's the one acting on your behalf.
Well, but the judge isn't acting on your behalf.
No,
They're
no.
part of a military admiralty institution, the fringe on the flag type of thing. And even a lawyer, which by itself is the negative, obviously perverse title, just by its own existence, a a perpetuator of law, not a perpetuator of lawfulness, but a perpetuator of law. They're not there to help you.
That's correct. That's absolutely correct.
Why even go to court?
I had a situation where one of the tenants, upon receiving notice of petition to come and answer in person or writing, that document was taken care of. A for B got taken care of. What occurred after was a phone call that came from the management office baiting the woman to call the court after hours. These are the type of tricks that I don't see many people probably would experience this, but the thing with some tenants who are women, they are living a very peaceful life. So with the unrest and this type of behavior, they are baited quite often. This was passed, no longer in the present. This was passed. She took the offer and called the court. They said the court, but they gave her a number. It was a law office for legal aid. So they said, you need to call the court on Monday. Here's the number. It turned out to be a law office. So she told me this information before she actually spoke. When the number she called, they answered, yes, legal aid, how can we help you? She hung up. She told me that's what occurred, and I wrote that information down. Unfortunately, moving forward, she chose to leave and not finish her remedy, so I couldn't take too more forward without the person actually there, the human being actually there. So unfortunately that didn't work, but be aware they do bait you. They bait you. Maybe not as extreme as what I just described.
They're supposed to leave you with nowhere to go. That's the point. They're trying to frustrate you.
Right, they're trying to shut down your ability to
create
do
conflict
anything by making it harder and harder and harder for you.
Absolutely. And interesting enough, what occurs from just the course of what these instances were for the people on the management side doing it, their powers of what they were exercising through notices and phone calls, they reached a halt. They were good for about 60 days, then they stopped. That was it. They exhausted their approach to present. There's only one issue at hand. There's only so many ways you could dress up the banana, so they ran out of ways to dress it up, and then disappeared.
They tried the pink dress, the purple dress, the orange dress, the yellow dress, and then they were done.
Right.
Have you yet filed a complaint with the court for fraud, they sold the shares in the company that they were supposed to have allocated to you.
Interesting point. Very interesting point. That is the part I would like to be able to move next towards. Was not sure how to proceed. Interesting point. That is the factual proof that I have. I have documentation on their website for that.
Well, you don't have to be a lawyer to write the complaint.
Caribbean, if I can interrupt for just a second and ask you if you could give before you get into how to do it, talk about what your, mention the title of it again, and then get into it for our listeners so that they can be able to put it all together in one thing.
It's you filing a complaint of fraud. Because they've sold something that didn't belong to them.
And that was what I was discussing in that definition under leasing, one of the terms leasing in the course of ordinary business, when you are an actual third party, where you thought you're the second party, and they never disclosed that you would not actually be able to purchase or own anything. They're selling things that aren't even there, they belong to someone else. So this occurred 2 years into your contract that you initiated. You began your contract.
May I suggest?
Yes.
This is only a suggestion. That file your complaint and make a big noise about it. Guess how fast your other problems are going to disappear. Just guess how fast.
Oh, that's got to be overnight. Amazing. A complaint of fraud, and you would act in the same course as everything else by way of the notary.
Yep.
Okay.
Because he is an evidential witness, and he will copy and certify the evidence, those documents that you've got, and send them in with the complaint. And then the court has got to schedule a date to hear that complaint.
I see.
You cannot file a complaint as an individual citizen. However, you can file it through the notary, and he'll do the filing.
Right.
Okay, I just want to ask real quickly.
Make an enormous amount of noise about it.
Gotcha.
I want to ask just real quickly, if I can. You just said something that I wanted to touch on. He can't file a complaint individually, but through a notary, it becomes something. And why exactly?
You're an officer of the court.
Yes.
He is an officer of the court, and not only that, because he's put his stamp on it, he has witnessed your complaint. He's witnessed it. So when it gets to the court, they know there's a witness to this. Hang on a minute, we best listen to you. We best get this case heard.
Because it's been authorized, witnessed, etc., by an officer of the court system.
That's it.
That's why it's so powerful.
Launches the complaint into a court system as opposed to, hey, I'm upset and pissed off.
Right.
I don't like what you're doing. Shut up. I don't like what you're doing.
And send them a notice to the just to make the noise.
Right.
I hereby give notice that I have filed an official complaint of fraud against your company, your authority, this housing authority. Make a lot of noise.
Right.
So with the notary stamp on it, it then becomes a more powerful.
It becomes a legal document, a full document,
as opposed to just me or whomever saying, I don't like this. Okay.
Well, it's like You know, can I have a sweet, mummy? No. Can I have a sweet, mummy? No. Dad, can I have a sweet? Yes, you can.
When you're an adult, you don't have to ask permission.
Signed document that says I can have a sweet and I'm taking it.
That's right. Does he document? You're an adult. That's the point of the system, is it being an adult.
Unfortunately, to the people that have acted as adults for so long, they have to be presented the document.
They fixed it as for children. They fixed it as for children. That's what the system is about. The real thing underneath is about being an adult, but they've locked us away from that. We're trapped as children forever, even if you are of age. It doesn't count.
So basically, it is I'm taking a treat. What are you doing? Here's my documentation. Read that while I continue to eat my treat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In other words, you're saying, you because they're children too. Believe it or not.
Sure.
Now,
So
they're
human
beings.
basically, that notary stamped witness document is like their parents telling them, "You've got to do this. Get this case into court and get it heard."
That's brilliant. Just brilliant.
But like I say, make big noise about it, and I bet lots of the other problems will disappear.
With the complaint of fraud, and it titled in that way of complaint of fraud,
Yes.
The notary, including as many
Yeah, and what you say is, and you I know it sounds silly, but you make a prayer, which is an affidavit. This company did this. They used deception and fraud to sell these shares, as witnessed by the documentary evidence, which they did not own. And now I'm left holding the baby. Come on. I want remedy for this crime of fraud.
Oh, I'm sorry, you don't.
So there you go.
Excellent. As to the uniform commercial code, I could
Yes, you can.
put a few in there, because the beginning of everything with this has started with validating debt, which no one will.
Well, you see, what they've done is they've dishonored their contract as well. Now,
See, there are many ways to do this stuff, and you don't want to rely on the UCC. That's commercial redemption. You can do those tricks. You can also rely on things like the United Nations. I've seen people do this Freeman stuff relying on... You don't want to do that either. We're not supporting the United Nations. You do it based on real common law. There's several ways to approach this, and if you can avoid doing it with these trick commercial redemption things that don't always work, they will work sometimes, but not 100% of the time. If you can go to the simpler system.
Yeah, sure. They exist only to get you to believe something until they can screw you.
They're similar to the system. I always have to differentiate us from these other movements.
You see, that's what you're doing by making the noise.
Yeah.
What you're doing
You
by making
prefer
the
not
noise
to have to
in this
rely on
case.
those things.
Yeah, but what you're doing by making the noise in this case is heaping dishonor on them.
Right. All it.
You're just heaping dishonor after dishonor on top of their shoulders. And the beauty of dishonor is, if they are in dishonor, they cannot make new contracts.
Right.
Until they place themselves back in honor.
Which they haven't done since about, 1913?
So what you usually find then is they'll just make everything disappear.
Yep.
It'll all go away. It'll be swept, because they don't want other people to understand what goes on. They usually sweep it under the carpet, and you never hear from them ever again.
Yep.
Now, with the real common law, when we speak in terms of laws that would equivalent to quoting like UCC this, UCC that.
No.
You see,
common law has three basic ideas.
They've offended against the
common law is based upon, first, you do not infringe upon the rights of others. Secondly, you do not damage, destroy, steal, or infringe upon the property of others. Thirdly, you do not engage in fraud or mischief in any of your contracts with other people. Other than that, that's law.
That's the law. And they've infringed on both the second law and
all
the third.
of them. All of them.
Well, they have all of them really, because they've damaged your property. Well, they've misappropriated it. Let's be fair.
Absolutely.
They've misappropriated your. They've even misappropriated
for 10 years for funds. Yes.
Through the Social Security Act.
Yes.
1913, 1930, whatever it was. Yeah, you have been the subject of violation of law as long as you have drawn your first breath.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the New World Order. That's what we're trying to fight against.
I.e. global governance.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is just about 4 o'clock. We have come down to the end of our hours today. We hope that some of what we've talked about has hit you, has impressed itself upon you, to understand that you are unwittingly being subjected to the New World Order, and we desperately pray and hope for your salvation from that. I have been one of your many hosts today. I am Don, Freeman on the land of the family Perry. With us, as always, has been the president of the Americas chapter of the World Freeman Society, Erostracios of the family Morades. Hopefully, Maggot's still with us and can say hello.
Hello.
But perhaps, excellent, that's great to know. Also from our offshore compatriots and hosts has been the Caribbean Critic, one of the most brilliant people that can add to this conversation and has been a huge part of it. We want to thank all of our guests today, all of the people that have contributed. We want to thank Edwin for being part of our show today. And I'm going to say God bless. Remember that you are a sovereign on the land, and no one can take it away from you. And I'm done.
Think about speeding him up like a chipmunk or something. Yeah.
Something wrong.
Alright, www.worldfreemansociety.org, and the podcast is at tinyurl.com/WFS podcast, and the only one of us who's got it together to have a MySpace page is Maggot, tinyurl.com/mymaggot. I'm a responsible party. I'll take us off air. Thanks a lot.